One of the big things that I've seen, and this actually started with Google long before it started with AI, I just think that AI has accelerated this process. There's this idea that when you're looking for an answer, you typically will just pick the first one. TJ kind of talked about this. And you don't actually provide as much critical thought that you would to something. This is really, I think, this has ultimately been evident in the NPM module problem, right? People get NPM for anything. That is why LeftPad actually took down the internet. Something as stupid as LeftPad, that is as trivial of a thing to implement, was in fact took down all of the internet for a day due to how it existed. So there's a real problem here, which is people often do not ask questions. They instead just program. And they just download stuff and just accept whatever comes to them. And I think that AI is going to continue to do this, where it erodes our ability to make critical decisions. Because why would you fight against something with PhD level intelligence? People who do not feel as equipped to be able to make programming experience see this magical machine be able to produce out tons of code that's able to run on their system. They're less and less likely to probably be very critical of said code. And so my huge worry is that people actually continue to reduce their ability to think critically about what they're doing and why they're doing it. I think the revolution of NPM and package managers, though exceptionally convenient, have allowed people to offload more and more of their ability just to solve simple problems and just assume that people who have done it are experts. I just choked on my own saliva, which is crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're back. We're so back. But real talk, I'm extremely worried about what is going to happen, which is this. So this is kind of like that is the framework I'm making this thought about LLMs, which is that LLMs are pretty good at producing code. We can all agree that they can produce code. Now, the quality of the code, very questionable. There's lots of problems with it, blah, 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 blah. Assuming that there's going to be some level of improvement on LLMs ad infinitum, I'm just making just one assumption. Some people think that it's going to be like this. Some people think it's going to be like this. I'm just going to say that there's going to be some level of improvement over the years. Can we at least minimally agree to that maybe this percentage is 20% over the next year? Maybe that percentage is 50%. Also, what is 50% better code? How are they measuring that? Lots of questions, okay? Let's just assume there's some level of improvement, okay? What I really see end up happening is I think a lot of people's careers and technical abilities will be as good as whatever the AI is able to spit out. Their ability to improve or to do their own research or to accept things that are the antithesis of what ChatGPT is saying effectively disappears. You have become learned helpless, and your ability of hard skills is bound to whatever the ChatGPT is able to produce. And I think that is a really dangerous place because I think it's really dangerous to let your employer lead your career. I think it's really dangerous to let other people dictate what your career should be. And I think it's even more dangerous to have your skills and your ability to grow yourself in whatever way you want dictated by the quality and quantity and skill set of the LLMs themselves. And so I personally would rather bet on myself and prove that I can grow faster and understand things better, because I ultimately think I will be, at least as any point right now, I think that I have a better grasp on things than LLMs do on a huge variety of topics, specifically when it comes to programming or building software well. I really just don't think they have it in them, and I'm not sure when they will have it in them to be able to produce software that is actually really scalable. That's a huge question altogether. So I'd rather bet on myself until I can evidently prove that I can no longer keep up at all. And so I'm very, very worried about this whole thing. And that's also making the assumption of the ever-growing, that people bound themselves to the growth of an LLM. Like that's a real problem. The bounding of your ability to something in which may or may not become amazing. And you see this all the time. And I'm going to get a huge level of comments in this video being like, bro, you just don't understand. You're just saying these things. You're just a Luddite. Oh, okay. Here's like my most hated phrase. Are you guys ready for my most hated phrase right now about AI? Bro, when Henry Ford created the car, you think that you think that people are saying, oh, you better learn how to ride a horse. Am I right? Like, how stupid is that? It's like, brother, you realize that Henry created a car and it took like 60 years for it to like enter into rural America? The day that the Model T was invented and you went onto the farm and said, hey, quit learning how to ride a horse and round up them cattle, dummy, right? Like, dude, you would just like destroy that stuff. I actually just recently had to go and find somebody that was a professional roper to help me capture one of my cattle back because I don't have the skills to ride a horse. I'm just saying, I've personally needed one of this expertise in my own lifetime. The cars have, in fact, not completely eroded away this skill issue. Think about that for a second. It's just a dumb phrase. Okay, now there are some industries that will go away, and maybe AI is just like the car. But there is a huge, enormous amount of time between AIs becoming good and their ability to completely revolutionize society, right? Like that just takes time. Like today, if you were to release it, you couldn't just be like, "Hey, guess what? We're releasing this. Hey, we're gonna just release this quick little this AI that can do anything." You think companies are gonna be like, "Oh, here, I'll give you all my data." How many companies don't even allow you to use Copilot because they don't want their data to be at risk of having the AI have it? Like, there's like just a whole slew of things that are going to happen. It's going to take a long time. Needless to say. Also, hi Maya. I'm getting very excited, by the way, for March. Totally stoked. You like riding horses? I don't really ride horses. I'm not really good at it. I want to ride more horsies. I just don't ever ride horsies, you know? Anyways, needless to say, though, the idea of betting against the cars is kind of just generally a losing thing. So is betting against an AI a losing thing? I think that's a pretty reasonable argument to take counter to my argument, which is actually a real thing. Is it actually a losing idea or not? I think generally speaking, knowing, understanding, and be able to effectively use those things, I think that's pretty good. I think that's a number one good idea to do. Know the limitations and understand why, but don't bind yourself to them. Very, very simple. Okay? The name is the Primeagen.